Don't know what happened there. I got a godded sign. Good evening, 1 minute past 11, 1 hour to midnight. Steph, Christopher's going to join me in a second. It was I don't know if we call it a boring draw, an expected draw, maybe in Drogheda. Chris, who was at the game, Steph, who, played a bit of football. Lads, we're on the penultimate episode of the season. Are we looking forward to getting through to the November 8th live show, or are we just kind of going to have a chat about the amazing Sean Keogh, TJ Malloy, Spate, who I can't think of his first name just off the hand. Steph, give me his first name. Sean. Blackrock man. At least what we got to see today, a glimpse of what, a little bit of experience from Anna Masahoon. We got to see a little bit of what could possibly come next season. Although I did miss most of the first half. I was listening to John, in fairness, on Dundalk FM, so I did hear a bit of it. But, I suppose the draw isn't the worst thing on the planet. Obviously, the season's gone, but I mean, a little bit of positive. We go to Steph pretty for the captain positivity straight away, but there is that little bit of, you see that little glimmer line, albeit his name's not on the back of his jersey, as we complained about Steph, but, young TJ Malloy coming on. I mean, I don't think there's anywhere else to start a podcast, really. 15 years of age, youngest player to play in the first team. It's an unbelievable achievement for someone so young, isn't it? He's only playing with RD Celtic, 18 months ago?
Yeah, it's incredible. Obviously, knowing a little bit about the underage scene around Dundalk schoolboys, you hear his name cropping up a lot, and an awful lot in the last couple of weeks in particular. Obviously, he got the international recognition, and he was coming off the bench for them, and then he started a few games and he's scoring goals, and then he got the winner in the Centenary Shield against Northern Ireland. And it's just amazing to see the three local lads, two of them playing with the Republic and one playing with Northern Ireland, Sean Spate and Callum Woods then with Northern Ireland as well. So look, he must be on cloud 9 at the minute. He probably hasn't even made his junior shirt yet. Never mind talking about a leaving cert or anything like that. So 15 years old. I think he's not 16 till April. I was looking up, and
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's incredible. Obviously Ross is only a year and a half younger than him, so time's ticking on for him now. He needs to get into that first team quick.
No pressure.
I'm only joking, but yeah, look, he's anytime we watched him, he's direct. He's an eye for goal. He's strong. He did look small in comparison to some of them boys, but look, 15 years old. It's incredible. Even just the boys to get into the squad and then for him to come on, it's top class. And hopefully he's a big future, especially at Oriel Park.
Thing I loved about it though, when he came on, he was like straight up top or whatever, ready to get in the mix on it. He just showed no nerves about it all, and just wanted to go out and kind of show his own talent and stuff like that. I love it. But when you look at him in between, their big centre halves, he looked tiny for him, but what an opportunity for him. And it was something I said to Burns as soon as the team sheet came out, and you had seen DJ and you seen Sean on it. I said, what are the chances of the lads getting a run out tonight? And Burns was a real high chance. And, we were kind of chatting in our group, and we just thought it's so important that the lads do get a chance, because I think we're all concerned of where Dundalk Football Club is going. But if there is a club around, it needs to be built around lads like this. And we have to be able to show that there is a route from our academies straight in. You want Dundalk to be that club right now that people say, if you go up there and you impress, you actually get into the first team and you have a chance to play. That's probably what we're going. We don't know what budgets or anything could be like next year. We don't know what the club's going to be like next year. Don't know what it's like next month. But you like to think, named a couple of players off there, at the start with Mayoa, Sean Keogh, two lads coming in there as well, Owen Kenny up top. From out of nowhere, there's really we lamented for a long time that there was no conveyor belt coming from academies into first team, and then all of a sudden, between that, Ryan O'Kane as well, of course, there's a hell of a lot all of a sudden, and it's very important. Steph, you probably know from when you're coming through, when you come through in a group like that, it makes it easier, doesn't it, to adjust, and you all can kind of bounce off each other a bit more, and it for the players who are younger than you, kind of looking on, then kind of looking, going, well, there's always a chance here for me, because you look at the Steph McKevitt's there in front of me. I could do what he's doing, sort of a thing,
Yeah, there was always, a few locals that you were sort of saying 3 year or two ahead of you, and you were looking at them getting in around the first team, and you were trying to match that and get up and join them. But yeah, like it's like you reeled off a couple of names there, and then obviously you had Finney Leonard, who played last week as well, and I think he's away on international duty at the minute as well. So I think yeah, and we had Jerry Scully corner us, and he was giving his opinion when we went up to collect the Uncanny's jersey yesterday, and he was just making the point that he made at the trust meeting, that there was 5 girls playing with the representative team, and they're all playing with different clubs around Ireland. So look, we can't let that happen with the boys now as well. So it'll be massively important that, like, you make a big deal of keeping these boys, showing them the pathway. But just to circle back to your point, and certain players like all coming through, once you get a sniff of someone that's around your age or a little bit older than you getting a chance, it just spurs you on that little bit more. So hopefully, I don't think we mightn't have a choice, but I think I brought it up the other day as well, that Shells got relegated. They went bankrupt after just winning the league title, and any amount of them I think Dan McKeely came in at the last minute and just patched the team together of all youngsters. And look, it could be something similar that we could be doing, but after a few games they got up and running and they were challenging for league titles. So in the first division, they get themselves back up. But yeah, look, I think it's the way forward. If we can, we touched on it last week about having the 3 or 4 more senior heads around the team. You're obviously going to need that. You're going to need them boys to be vitally important when you get sticky patches in the season and you need to just pull out a few results, even if you're not playing well. But yeah, I think it's vitally important we create that pathway, start getting a bit of a conveyor belt where we promote from within the academy, because obviously we've seen like 15-year-olds stepping into the first team there, not a fear in them at all. So just great to see. It's that little bit of positivity at the end of the season that we've something to cling on to, hopefully.
Yeah, it's exciting times, and that's exciting times for those young players coming in, because now, like you say, Steph, this is a chance we'll have to rely on them, and it's an opportunity now. Although look, we were down in the doldrums of the first division. It'd be different if we've gone through a first season, the first division, and then we're saying, right, now we'll blood the young fellas, because we haven't got it all our own way. But if you mentioned Mayo there and Ryan O'Kane, these are now experienced footballers. Like Ryan O'Kane's over 100 games for Dundalk. These are now the experienced lads, and it's exciting times going forward for these. Obviously, speaking of exciting times, we'll have announcements. I didn't forget, we'll have an announcement about our live show on November the 8th coming up shortly. We have a couple of announcements to make on that. But Chris, just on the, although the young fellas start tonight, it's obviously John Daly's last game as well at Oriel Park. And look, we don't know what else staff-wise, familiar faces on the Drogheda bench tonight as well from Dundalk. You never know, might get a phone call over the next couple of weeks. But, would he have, himself, like Steph had mentioned himself and Barnesy, getting those young fellas on the pitch, is it something that they're hoping to kickstart? I suppose even as John's leaving, he's probably thinking, right, well, at least I blooded them young fellas in, and it hasn't gone to plan what he wanted, but he did stick true to his word. If they got relegated, he would be going back for family reasons and things. And who knows, even if they stayed up, he mightn't have kept the job. We just don't know if he would have stayed on. But at least he's kind of said, right, well, I'm going to give these boys a chance, get them on, and then for the next regime to take over, and here you go. It's there for you if you want it.
Yeah, I think it's so important. Like, we struggle for a left back, and then we happen to find one with inside the academy in Sean Keogh, So I think that's how we kind of have to be looking. We were looking for someone to be a little bit braver in defence, and we probably found that in Mayowa as well. So I think sometimes we just didn't look towards our academy when sometimes the solution was there for us. But I think definitely from from the outside, I suppose, looking in, and you're probably thinking we're a basket case of a bit of a club, like where would you want to take that over? But when you start looking at probably players who you'll have around the club next year, I think there's a pool of talent there, in particular young, hungry players, and I think the biggest dilemma will probably be what manager do you get to get the best out of these now? That's probably going to be if John Temple is staying on as owner at Dundalk Football Club, that's going to be his biggest role. Even maybe not as big as coming in and saving the club there at the old last minute, Chris, but let's say his second biggest role then to do as owner at Dundalk Football Club is to pick the next manager and to pick that right, because with this talent of young players coming through, you need to have a manager who's able to nurture and bring on their skill level, their experience, and create that right environment, because you often see young lads coming in and getting a taste of first team football, and just the environment isn't right, and they're thrown into the wrong games or whatever and stuff like that, and you don't see the best of them, and they kind of go back in their shell. So that's really, really key. And it was something Paul Crowley was even saying to me there tonight at the match was, like, do you go young, a hungry manager, or do you go for a more experienced manager? And, it's a name popped up, Steph, that you'll be well familiar with in John Gill. And he said he'd be a perfect number 2 to a good young manager, because Giller has all that experience or whatever, and could control a dressing room very easily, and has all the lines to throw out there for everyone. Yet at the same time, he would probably give the space for a younger manager to really kick on and learn the ropes, and have someone the experience of someone like Giller or something like that behind him might be ideal. I don't think it would be Burnsy. I think Burnsy said a few times he's no interest in managing this, doesn't he?
Right, okay, I'm not sure. But yeah, Crowley must be angling for the job himself. I
was just going to say, as soon as you put that in the ring there.
I know there was big talk of him coming in when Vinny came back that time as Vinny's number 2. So I don't know what stage he's at with his badges, but I think Crowley has at least a B. Oh, don't quote me on that. No, he might text me later on and correct me. But look, I don't know if someone's going to give up their time to that experience, the likes of Giller, to come down and be a number 2 here. Look, he obviously has a lot of time for the club, being the manager, coming back as the head coach or whatever title he had at the time, just to help out Vinny that time, and obviously he stayed on as his number 2 again. So look, he put possibly the love for the club. He's obviously done a video for the trust as well. So I look, he might well come back in some capacity. I wouldn't be totally shocked if he did. There's probably going to be 100 names thrown about, and everyone will have a different opinion, and that's probably why it's so great, because you could probably give 10 or 15 different managers, and they'll all have their own strengths, and someone will want such and such, and we know ourselves, we have different debates among ourselves who all we'd like to get in the hot seat next. But I think with a young squad like that, you probably need a young and hungry manager who's gonna get the best out of them. A more experienced manager might tend to try and go more experienced players, and so I don't know if we're gonna have the budget to go and get a couple of experienced boys. But you'd like to think Joe Mountney, you'd like to stay on being the club captain. We obviously know he's a young family, and he's gonna have to support them. I think he's already done a piece with Dan McDonald during the week about taking a massive pay cut to stay with the club and prove his fitness and prove he still has the quality to play in the Premier Division team. So look, everyone's going to have a lot of big decisions to make, and not just making them for Dundalk Football Club, they're going to be making them for personal reasons as well. As much as the fans mightn't like it at times, you know, people's livelihoods are going to have to be looked after as well. So yeah, look, it's usually a wild season, the off season, but I think it's going to be one of the wild. Yeah.
And you mentioned, like, we're talking like John Temple. We don't know who's going to do the hiring here, but for someone who's come into the game fresh and probably not a massive football background, he's going to have to get a team together probably to look at these. You know, like, you don't know if it's going to be the Peter Halpins. You know, you need a Whelan. You don't know who's going to be up there, if they're going to ask Bonesy for some advice. You don't really know what they're going to be looking at. So it's interesting. Even I'd be more worried for who's going to be maybe decided. Peter Halpin's got a wealth of experience. He's always been at Bowes as well. He got some, you know. I remember when I think it might have been James Rogers. He done an interview with James talking about how he got the Chelsea game on and Bowes. He's got a wealth of experience and plenty of contacts. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I like the idea of, I think we mentioned last week, maybe an experienced manager, like what Steph was saying. I think me, you, Chris, an experienced manager with somebody young, but you don't want somebody coming that's never managed. You know, so you don't want someone. You know, there's the names thrown about. I won't get into it, but there's people who have coached maybe at certain teams, but not maybe manage a team. So either way, whatever mix they go for, it has to be someone that has actually managed a team at some stage. You could argue it's a free hit for someone, but at the same time, it's not really a free hit for us. You know, like, yes, the young we might have to bide our time. We might have to play 2 seasons, but I mean, the club will be looking to get back up in 1 if they can. If they're playing, as Niall Newbury alluded to last week, if we're playing. But you see some messages going to be, it's a free hit. You won't get away with it. The first division is like, Steph, you know, like, I mean, playing that level, the teams are so difficult. It's a cutthroat. It's as cutthroat as the Premier Division in many ways. But, you know, you got to get the right kind of blend. If they go experience, I would agree with Steph. I don't think you can go too experienced. Like, I mean, like a veteran of League of Ireland, because they might want that experience and because they might know the young players so well. So it'll be interesting. But I do think now, you see the names that John put up there earlier on, or Jason Crawley put up. There's a good few young players there. And Adam Masahoon is young. What is he, 2021? Ryan O'Kane. You know, these players, if they can be, they're definitely going to be looked at by someone else. There's no doubt about it. I don't see us hanging on to many. John, you'd hope, but yeah, nice blend. Look, it's really a tough now. It's as tough as ever it's been. Probably any committee picking a manager for this club now over the last probably 20 years.
It's probably like really what we probably need now from John Temple is to come out with his plan. Because that's probably going to tell us what sort of a manager we can attract. And, you know, like any manager looking on at Dundalk Football Club will say, you know, great club, great history or whatever. You'd love to get in and manage it, because if you're the manager that brings them back up again, you know, you'll always have a great reputation. But no one is going to touch Dundalk Football Club right now until they know how stable is the club, what sort of a budget are you going to have, how many players. Like there's 9 players on the retained list, am I right? 4 players contracted for next year.
Yeah. So
you would have a base there to work off if you can get in early and there's a commitment from the owner of where the club is going next year. And the thing about it is, there's every chance that we could be, it depends on, you know, Drogheda in their playoff, obviously, but we could be the big fish in the first division next year. So everyone's going to want to get the scalp against Dundalk. They're going to want to come up and get points against us. And, you know, that in that sense, it's definitely not going to be easy. But I think some clarity now from the ownership come out early, find out what we're going to look like for next year in whatever way. Because if it's something that we're not going to be able to compete at the top level, that, like, let's be realistic, from having no club at all to actually having a club is a win enough. And if we're told that, look, the budget's going to be right way down, guys, if we're talking part-time only or amateurish in part-time, and, you know, that has to be a readjustment of expectations from fans. But, you know, if we can do some sort of hybrid and hold on to a number of these full-time players that we have contracted for next year, like, we could be right in the mix for that. You look at Bray this season, not really in the playoff situation, and then just put a run of results late on and got through probably the more difficult tie in there. two-legged playoff as well to get to the final there. So it just goes to show you just need to peak at the right time and have a bit of a run behind you. So I think that's, in that sense, that's why I find that decision is just so important now. Where are we going as a club? And that's going to also tell us the caliber of manager that we can attract then. So no pressure, John Temple. Any chance there, you could come out and just let us know ASAP. Otherwise, we're having another 12 days of Christmas.
Yeah, if you want to jump on before the end of the show and just give us a heads up, nice.
That would be good.
And it might surprise you. It might get an absolute influx. You just don't know. I mean, it's still an attractive job. Again, like we say, it's a waiting game now to see.
It's just to see it, some sort of a plan, though, Gally. I think that's the key part on all of this.
Yeah, and I think the likes of the meeting last week at the town hall, the trust might spark a few as well, because that's on. It's back again, and there's a members meeting. You'll have
at the end of this month,
18th, is it? So I mean, that gives a little bit of anybody watching it from afar, gives it a little bit of something to go off, I suppose. But yeah, it's a really tough few weeks, and you're already at, what day are we today? We're at 1st November. So I mean, you've no time at all. I mean,
no.
You got to get this. We are, like Steph said, it's mad crack in the off season with Dundalk right up to Christmas for the last, I don't know how many seasons. If it's not signing players, it's getting jerseys ready, it's getting kids' shops open, the shops in a different spot every time. It'll be a Newry if we're not careful next year. But it be everywhere, and it's just so hectic. And now it was hectic without any problems, but now it's really hectic, and it wouldn't be Dundalk if the crack wasn't on for late mid-November to kind of mid-December. But it's where we are, unfortunately. There was no question in that. I was just making a statement. Sorry about that, boys. Yeah, but it'll be interesting. They've definitely got to work it out. There is no doubt about
it. Steph might know this probably a little bit more, but I think there's probably plenty of players weighing up where they are right now, and they're all having conversations behind closed doors with other individuals, trying to suss out if one they could get more money or better opportunities at other clubs. And those, there's probably a handful of players that loads of clubs would like. So if you don't have your house in order, you're not an attractive prospect to those players, and that's why it's so important. We have to start getting our house in order as quick as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, like you said, Chris, I think it's vitally important that we get the manager in. Look, I can't. I'm hoping that there's been a shortlist drawn up already, and then we can start speaking to these people if they're available, because nobody's going to sign for the football club if they don't even know who's the manager. So I think that's paramount to what we need to get in place first. And obviously, you'd like to think that John Temple has a very good idea of what the budget's going to be, or at least a ballpark sort of region what is going to be affordable. Mm-hmm. Once that all starts getting in place, players are going to be talking to each other. Anyone ringing your phone who's looking for you?
Yeah.
It's a little, I don't want to say a little more unstable. Obviously, I've been out of the loop a long while, but in the first division, it's year on year. Players going to a club and then moving on to the next club and the next club, and it seems like you're trying to climb a ladder and to get into that Premier Division. Get a team in the first division that's challenging. If you do well, obviously you're looking at promotion, or you're looking at someone from the Premier Division picking you up. So yeah, look, all the players are going to be talking to each other and are going to be asking each other who, and there's probably going to be a group of players that will probably be keeping a close eye on what Dundalk's doing, to see if that is a place they can go to. Obviously, I think regardless of, or us having the bare minimum, I think we should be looking at least aiming for the playoffs. Why not? It's not I know it's a difficult league and that, but I watched the playoff semi-final between UCD and Bray the other day, and the Bray centre half was the best player on the pitch. Killian Cantwell, thought he was excellent, but in saying that, it was a 1-0 penalty in injury time, and I know, look, it's a semi-final and Bray were already ahead, but the standard wasn't great. and I'd be hoping that we'd have a team that could at least match any of those two sides that was playing that match. So yeah, look, I think I was trying to do my homework the other day, and I was looking at every team that finished fifth in the first division in the last 3 years, and taking into calculations, points deductions, and all. I think we probably need about 60 points. So it's probably if we did get the 20-point hit that we were thinking we might get if we go into Scarp. So look, if we manage to avoid that, even that I don't think we will, but I'm probably being very optimistic here. Gallia love that, but I'm just talking about getting 60 points next year. Finish fifth.
Won the league for Shells.
If we get a 20-point deduction, I'm taking that into consideration and everything. But yeah, like look, I don't think it's even at worst case scenario we get the 20 points deduction. I don't think we should be aiming for hitting outside the playoffs. Maybe that's crazy talk, but you can rewind it back the end of next season and make it laugh.
Well, we'd love to be proving you wrong, wouldn't we?
I'd love to be saying that.
Is there I just missed a wee bit. Is there an average points deduction here for the Scarp? Is it the kind of just whatever? Let's see how bad it is under the covers.
Limerick, the last team to get it.
Yeah.
And they got deducted 26.
Right, okay. Right.
Yeah. Was that what Limerick got?
I don't know. I think it's something like that, was it?
I don't think it was for the same thing because Scarp wasn't available, but I think they were 16 points or something like that.
Right, okay.
But still, it's still a hefty. Yeah, it's still a hefty hit though, and I think that's the key, and that's why it's all pie in the sky conversations. It doesn't make for a good podcast, but it's the truth. Like that, you're picking anything out. Like I said, you could look at these players from other teams in the first division, say you'd love to be able to attract this player in, but like we don't know if we're even going to be in a position to be able to attract these other players. We don't know who in the retention list is. Are we even going to be keeping? And we don't have a manager in place either. So like. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's a fairly big list of things we have to go through and sort out. Welcome back, Ali, and sort out before we can even talk about that. So yeah, points deduction, players, manager, and a budget. Whenever you're ready.
Apart from that, we are banging. This podcast is the most successful thing in the Dog Football Club this year. You're living off the hope that they can get all that over the line, and then like the most exciting thing that happened at the club is these young fellas. These young fellas coming in, it's got to. If we can't get a bit of positivity going with these, then what are we at? I know we talk about points deduction. It'll be like 26. I didn't actually realize it was that high. Like what year was that? What year was Limerick? That's a mad amount of points. But look, you're hoping it's not anywhere near that. I would have expected maybe 10.
I think there's been other points deductions between 12 to 16 seems to be kind of the before, but the whole Scarp thing is then going to be new, so it's hard to put a figure on what they might say. But like Steph says, you're already hitting the old minus figure to start from just to get even. So yeah, you're probably right. If somehow you can navigate it in such a way that you can still get in and around the playoffs, even with your points deduction at the start, that's a hell of a season. For next year, that's probably as good as we could hope for. I forgot about the points deduction, Steph. You really annoyed me on that.
I know. I keep forgetting that. I'm more annoyed that it was so high. I wasn't expected to be in the 20s.
Yeah. No, look, I'm thinking of worst case scenario. So then, when it's not 20, then we'll all be delighted. Yeah. And it'll really spur the squad on.
We should have said 40. And then
Niall Herty's right. We go 25, 26 for the worst. 12 is the best case scenario on that, and hopefully we'll land somewhere in the middle.
I was going to say even the dog agrees with me there.
There's no way it's 40 points. But I mean, apart from that, it is it's doable, boys.
There's a lot of water underneath the bridge. before we even get into that round. But yeah, look, you'd like to just hope a few announcements start rolling in, and we go from there. Like we're just picking stuff out of the sky and hoping for the best at the minute. So look, I think the more uncertainty, the longer it goes on, the worse it's going to get. The WhatsApps will start flying around again of all sorts. I don't even want to start saying rumors because they'll, the more you say it, the worse it fucking gets. So yeah, anyway, move on to the next.
Just a reminder, everyone, we'll probably do our last man of the match competition to win a 15-inch Tony's Pizzeria pizza. So if you want to throw in your suggestion, I suppose, of tonight's man of the match performance, stick it in, and if you agree with us, we will give you a pizza. Well, we won't actually give you. Vinny will give you the pizza.
We'll ask Vinny politely if he wants to start with us.
Yeah, we'll ask him nicely on our behalf.
It's another contract you'll have to go into negotiations about.
Yeah,
top man does the last couple of years. So.
Absolutely. So Gally kind of teased this out during the week that we had a big announcement coming, and we are going to do a live podcast, but I suppose it's a live podcast with a bit of a difference because all our pods are always live. Hence our waffling there for the past wee while.
And my dog barking in the background. Yeah.
But we are going to do a special show up with Mark Carlin in Black Mountain Studios. It's going to be a really intimate podcast. Unfortunately, I did get messages from people asking, are they going to be able to attend and stuff like that? It's not going to be a situation where we can bring in an audience at this moment in time. But what we will have are two extremely special guests that we'd like to bring in. Something we don't often do on the podcast, and that is a musical guest. So if you're going to bring in somebody on the musical side, you have to bring in someone connected with Dundalk Football Club as well. And that's no other than Dundalk's very own David Keenan, who of course will do his own rendition of El Paso, and I believe something maybe special at the end of the show too for us. But we wanted to make sure on our season review that we like to do something a little bit different, whether we're doing live shows in Lillywhite or we're doing something here. So on this podcast, we thought, who better to look back over the season that was than this season's captain in John Mountney. And I think if anyone was watching or was at the game tonight in particular, or since our relegation, really, you can see the pain etched all over John Mountney's face. So it'd be really interesting. Steph mentioned there already, the interview that he had done this week. So I think it'd be great just kind of tease that out on how he is. Unfortunately, lads, Jim Core was unavailable. So we did go for David Keenan instead of that. But yeah, so John Mountney will be our main guest, and we will have a musical guest in David Keenan. And wouldn't be a season review show, Gally, would it, without one important element? And that is Gally's wheel of names is back. Except this time, God only knows how we're going to do this live.
Anybody with the surname Hanks is not allowed on it. Because I think we had Alan Hanks, or I don't know what it was.
That's right. Yeah.
Name's Hanks, I'm not putting you on it.
So anyone watching our socials over this week would see myself and Steph popped up to Oriel Park yesterday to collect Owen Kenny's signed jersey, and thanks to everyone at Dundalk Football Club and Nita Whelan for organising that for us. So we will auction that off as we always do. Luckily, Gally, I checked back at our messages. I have the list of names because I was going to contact you and go, have we still got them? So everyone who... Yeah, it was February of this year, should I say. So I completely forgot where those list of names were. But yeah, everyone who took part in our sponsorship, you're all in the hat. We'll just have to work out, is it going to be an actual wheel or can we do the virtual wheel?
Well, I might get an actual wheel there, folks. I will get an actual wheel.
We just
probably won't even rotate.
But I think that's going to be a really, really good show. Really looking forward to having a chat with John Mountney, because Steph, kind of like you mentioned earlier on, you know, he's based in the town. He's got, you know, kids now in town and stuff like that. He knows what this club really means, and to be the captain, to bring it down, I'm sure that was a sore point for him. So, we you know, there's endless ways you could probably go with this with him. I think you look at John there tonight. I don't know if the camera picked it up or not, Steph, but he literally walked over to the away end and he was like shaking hands with every fan he could along the way. Like that, for a relegated team, for the captain to go out and be shaking hands with everyone is amazing. Like,
yeah, and he's so approachable and down to earth. Like there's no airs or graces about him. He's like, you know, even like I don't know how many people read his interview during the week, but like it's some crazy stuff. And obviously we'll only touch on a little bit here because we want to keep all the good topics to when we get there. But like he was just like any good captain, I suppose. He was looking after people, but when you see the situation that the players were in and they weren't getting wages, like he was in that same position himself, and obviously he's a young family, and you know, it's inspirational stuff. Like for someone to be in such a bad position, but making sure everyone's looked after before himself. I'm sure he had worries coming into the season where he was going to be or who he was going to play with, and then to be handed the captaincy. And look, there was a few eyebrows raised, even on the show, I suppose, but it was never a question of his character. It was always, is he going to play enough games? Because I think he 2 career-threatening injuries that, you know, players haven't recovered from one of them, never mind 2. So even to have that sort of mentality to you know, go through all the process of getting yourself built back up and then being fit to come onto the pitch and just, you know, wears his heart on his sleeve. Every time he goes onto the pitch, he runs his socks off and he gives everything. And look, it totally showed when the relegation was confirmed. It was like the life was sucked out of him. He's obviously had a year where he went to Pats and played there for a season, but like aside from that, like he's been here for the bad times at the start, then the glory years, like playing in the Emirates, I'm sure was a highlight of his. And you know, just for it to go back full circle with a relegation is probably, you know, I can't imagine how tough that would be for him to take, being involved in so many successful squads and then getting the captaincy, and then for just how it just spiraled out of control from the summer on. I'm sure it's gotten for him, but like he's one of the ones, you know, we can hold his head up high. He's given everything. You can't point the finger at him and say, look, if he had done this, or he could have done better, or he could have worked harder. Like, you know, he left every ounce of himself out there. So, and I'm sure a lot of the younger lads coming into the team would have definitely looked up to him. So look, hopefully we can hold on to him. Hopefully he's a big announcement to make on the podcast next week that he's staying.
That'd be ideal. Yeah.
Be ideal, but obviously, look, we know what uncertainty around everything at the minute. So, but yeah, look, I think I don't think there could have been a better player or a better person to be captain this season.
Yeah, I think if we had foreseen what was going to happen, you know, like obviously I think we'd said it when he got the cabs, we were really surprised. We just didn't know about the fitness and the injuries, and look, that's touch wood, that's behind him. But I think if we'd foreseen what was going to happen, his name would have been right up there. You know, if you could, you know, if we'd have known the way it was going to go. Now, look, we were going to struggle, but we never knew we were going to struggle at this level. But yeah, like what a season he's had. I think he's a Dundalk fan now. At the end of the day, it's gone past playing at this stage. But like you see tonight, John just commented, and Dave McDonald as well. That's what you're after. I mean, that's what you need. Like, it gets the fans on side. You know, look, it's been a tough season for everybody, and us as fans, we're just watching in. Like, it's got to be just so mentally and physically draining for players like that. Now, look, there's boys in on loan who'll go back, but for players like John Mountney who've come back to the club, you know, came very close to winning the league with Pats, FA Cup, along with a few others and that. And look, he was there at the start, I suppose, then as well, that playoff, and then in Waterford. And yeah, look, it's like Steph said, it's come full circle now. It just must be so disheartening and heartbreaking. But then you hope that there's that wee bit, you know, because I'm sure somebody will be looking for him. I don't see anybody not looking for a player like John Mountney. But you hope that there is that little bit of something in it that we're still his first choice. But again, look, like probably like many others that we might have previously mentioned already, we just don't know. But if you can keep players like John Mountney on board, you're not halfway there, but you're off to a cracking start for trying to convince anybody else that's even coming in on loan, maybe from the Premier Division, to come down to us and play for a year. And that's what we have to try and do now over the next couple of weeks or however long it takes. You know,
it's probably a strange one that perhaps, you know, it would have been easier to just walk away from Dundalk Football Club for a lot of those guys if we were just still batshit crazy and the fans had turned, and you know it was just a toxic atmosphere around. It would be easier for a lot of these players just to kind of walk away. I'm in the contract now, good luck. I never want to go back there again. But in a strange way, you think about that 5 p.m. deadline, players turning up. You know, John was there that time and he was going around talking to all the fans and that was outside Oriel. Like Steph mentioned there, he's one of the players, you know, he's not getting paid and still having to roll out and be a captain of a side where players aren't getting paid. Can't have been easy at all. And then you had, you know, the loss of Maxi through the year and how the players really rallied around the club to showcase how special Dundalk Football Club is. And I think from that, when you think of the results that we've had, you know, we haven't won a game since we beat Drogheda 4-2 in Oriel Park that time. There's been, 3 draws in there, I think is all it's had. And we've been relegated. And yet you've got a captain go around high-fiving and shaking hands and giving away his boots and armbands. Like it's a nuts situation. And just like you just said there, Gally, I think we're all hoping that that's tugging on every heartstring of a couple of these players to just have something for us to build around for next year. Because if you can hold on to your Darryl Horgans, your, you know, John Mountney's, that people like that who really understand the club, who really understand the town and stuff like that, you'd be closer to Steph's 60-point mark next year, you know, with players like that than you would be without them. And I think we only realised the hole that Chris Shields left in the club when he left. You know, it was easy to see how important, not just of a player, but as a captain, that Shieldsy was this year, and especially the latter part of this year. I think John Mountney has taken on that mantle and really understood the role of a captain, and not within just a team, but as in a whole community. And those characteristics aren't very easy to come by. So I think it's very important that if there's an opportunity to build a club around people with that sort of personality, you know what I mean? Like there's a characteristic in there that not every player is built on. And it's important that if you're trying to sow the seeds of a new, not a new club, but like a new identity to Dundalk Football Club, it's key that individuals like John Mountney, you'd love them to be able to play a part, because if people who understand the community, they can really drive that community and that love back into Dundalk Football Club. And let's hope that that's what we need to ignite this club back again.
Yeah, and we got a little chat with Darryl yesterday, and he was full of enthusiasm. He was like, you know, this is a fresh start for us now next season, and there was a lot of we talk. So I don't know if you read too much into that. He could be one of the players still. Well, he obviously is under contract, so hopefully he's staying. He'd actually touched on the point that we've been talking about earlier about a lot of youth players coming through, and him actually been very impressed with a lot of them. So yeah, you get a core group there, you make them the real leadership group, and you build around it. Like once you get a couple of people in, or a couple of people to stay, then other people are going to get attracted to it. And you know, like how could you not want to play with a Darrell Hogan or John Mountney? Like Maya was the lion his years for me. Looks to have a good head and his shoulders. Looks to be a natural leader. Like he mightn't have a captain's armband or anything like that, but you can see on the pitch he has a big presence. But yeah, like even when you think back to Chris Shields like leaving the club and getting a send off, like what other player leaves a club halfway through a season, gets the send off that he does, like like obviously we all know the history of Linfield, like being big rivals with Dundalk, even though they don't play in the same league or anything like that. So yeah, it's a special football club, and once you play for the badge on the front, then you know everyone will remember the name in the back for years to come. To be put into folklore.
Like that one, Steph.
Yeah, if you have the name in the back of the jersey, Gally, yeah.
Pizza time.
Love
time. Can we win the pizza crust now?
We'll sort that out for the live show. yeah. Gally, do you want to go around the house?
Go on, Steph. We'll kick it off with you. Go on.
Yeah, like look, it was another 0-0, and we're going to talk about defenders and goalkeepers. I thought Monroe done reasonably well. He nearly took Hayden Cahn's head off, but you know, clean sheet for him, and you don't know where his future. He might be in Oriel next season as well. It sort of gets a grip of the football club, but yeah, look, clean sheet for him. Nice way to finish off the end of the season. I thought Sean Keogh had his best game. I thought when he came into the side, he was full of confidence, and he was doing really well. And it sort of dipped. Like, look, everything else, the performance and the performance of the team, the results are going to drain the life out of you. I thought he was excellent again tonight, but Mayo presence at the back, he kept Perot very, very quiet. He had a good tussle with him, and he definitely got on top. Made a couple of vital blocks. One he knocked over the bar. It was just great reaction from him. But yeah, I think Mayo just slightly shaded it for me. But yeah, good performance for me anyway.
Christopher.
Yeah, it's probably similar to Steph on that. I think it's going to be a rare one that we're probably think Mayo exceptional game. As I say, he was strong and dealt with everything that was in the air, and those aerial balls that we have struggled with all year long. And it's good to see that, you know, we have someone who enjoys challenging for the ball. Like you can see him kind of taking a step back and really getting into it. And like you said, he had a good physical tussle tonight with Perot, and he probably prefers playing against a player like that he can kind of, you know, go in hard against like that. I thought Sean Keogh exceptionally good, in particular in the first half, early in the second half as well. I thought from the player we seen halfway through the season come in, a left back, when you know, we lost the two Zacks back then. God, doesn't that seem like seasons ago? You know, I think he started taking on players. You can see a bit of a maturity about him. He's probably settling into the squad a lot more now as well, and we're starting to see that sort of a element of his skill set now flourish, which is great to see. After me giving out last week, I think Owen Kenny actually had a really good game, led the line much better, stayed on side a lot more. And, you know, so unlucky with the one that obviously comes off the crossbar too. Like, you know, that would have been, you know, when we were talking to him, I kind of joked and said, you know, scoring a hat trick against the Drogs, he said, "I'll just give me one," you know, and he nearly had that. Like, you know, he wanted that. He wanted that goal tonight as well.
It would have been a nice way to bookend the season for him as well.
Oh, phenomenal! Like, yeah, it really would have. It would have put the value of our jersey up as well. But yeah, like, it isn't it strange we're talking about, you know, homegrown talent nearly across across the whole thing there, academy players, and which is amazing. In the interest to make it a good competition tonight, I'll go for Sean Keogh.
So I have to hold my hands up. I missed the first 36 minutes of the game, but I had John Mountney. I was going to say John Mountney on the radio. John Mountney's anywhere. I had John Murphy listening to the radio. But the name that kept coming up, now there was Mayoa, there was also Monroe to keep up, but Sean Keogh's name kept coming up. Now, what I'd seen the game then as well, the commentators when I switched on to League of Ireland were just absolutely lauding Sean Keogh. He's better. He kind of looks, and I don't know, I hope it doesn't go to say, he has that kind of Sean Ho about him where he's stocky, he's quick, you know, he's really easy on the ball. He could probably, I said this before, I think I've said this 3 or 4 times, he could probably play midfield as well. He could play centre of the park if we needed someone. He could play centre back, he'd be a stocky centre back. But I think Mayo was excellent. I thought Monroe, like Steph says, apart from absolutely nearly knocking Hayden Khan into the Lourdes, you know, I actually had a really solid game, and someone that you'd maybe hope to maybe, you know, he's come on as the season went on, maybe for next season, as Steph says. But I think, I think Sean Keogh for me, I think, is this the second time we've given him a man of the match this year? Or he's been very close before.
I think he was close, but didn't get it before, was he?
It was, yeah, he definitely in the running. I thought he was excellent tonight. I thought, like you say, Chris, if Owen Kenny puts that away, it probably gets him up there because he's kept himself on side. You were giving it a bit last week as well. God love me. So you run his ear the whole night there, I'd say, for 90 minutes.
Oh, God.
But it's the last time we catch myself offside, us on the podcast. But I think for me, and the fact that it's, you know, like it's like getting as a TJ Malloy comes on tonight to put the ball in the back of the net. It's his one up. Do you know what I mean? It's great. Like you said, these young fellas coming in, you know, let's give them all the awards and the plaudits we can give them, because these are the boys that are going to hopefully get us out of the shithole that we're in at the minute. But yeah, Sean Keogh for me, not by much. Mayo was definitely, Steph's right, he is in there.
Yeah,
Monroe was excellent as well. But no, Sean Keogh for me tonight in Weaver's Park, yeah. Who have we got?
There's loads for Sean. There's
literally loads. So maybe it's all right.
Want to get a pick?
I'm having a quick look through. Like, to be fair, if I kind of go from we started announcing it, there's Sean Keogh, Ross Monroe, Horgan, Sean Keogh, another one for Sean Keogh, Mayoa. Like it's pretty close between the two players, I would say. Maybe Sean edging it slightly. I think maybe to go for someone different tonight. I'm thinking maybe Emma Dunn has won the pizza tonight. So Emma, if you want to get in contact with Vinny and the lads there in Tony's Pizzeria in Park Street, they will look after you for a 15-inch pizza on the podcast here. Our final one of the season.
Well done, Emma.
There we go.
So we're not getting pizza away next week?
I think unless you can turn up to the studio and actually get it yourself. Yeah. We'll say that Steph won it and Steph can turn up to Vinny and then bring it up.
It's the last
well done, Emma.
Else eating pizza.
There we go.
And we won't get the 48
Jonathan's on his way around, so there we go.
A cup final would have got us to 40 episodes this year. We're on 38, so we're 39 next week. So close. So
Raging.
It's a 50 podcast. Remember them days?
European days.
Oh, classics.
European
2026.
Live European draws, lads. We lost the run of ourselves.
Many will there be when we get the FAI Cup final and the playoffs next year?
Yeah. We won't get one from Kerry. We'll all be down there. So we'll have to do one from there. Cove Ramblers. I think we'll all head down there.
Where are we going to be, Gally, for the Kerry one? We're going to be in WBA to see the.
Right. Anything else?
Next week, boys. Black Mountain Studios. Everybody tune in. I don't know what time from. Chris, you'll have to remind me. But
7:45. We're kicking off at normal time, so everyone's there, ready for a game time.
Off time, folks. That's game time. Game face on.
We've kept it that way, nice and easy. So if everyone wants to tune in, and as I said, if this all works out well, we'll organise something for next year. Then about actually bringing bringing some people in, which would be awesome. Right, I think that's us, gents. That's it for another season. Can't believe that. Finally, nearly this close to having Fridays back, lads.
Yeah.
One more to go. One more to go. Look, and unfortunately, we come away empty. Well, not empty-handed. We come away with a point from Weavers Park tonight. Could have been all three if it wasn't for the wit of a crossbar. But until our special show, I suppose, next Friday, it's come on the turn.